Namato Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening. Today is Friday, 29th of May, 2020. And this is Achan Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen. So once again, I am here with you tonight, just to be friend with you this time. Some of you must be very busy, and some of you must be enjoying this wonderful weather that we have today. So today's weather is so beautiful, and we have 21 degrees here at the center, and it was very difficult to work outside because of the heat. That was really hot. So we concentrated on the barn, renovation the barn, doing it by ourselves. So I hope you enjoyed, and you're enjoying this lovely day, and possibly it will last in Scotland probably about a week. So do not miss, and this is a proper summer that we are having at the moment. So this is a wonderful moment. And in the meantime, the government has also announced some rules that is eased, and we can go meeting with our families and friends in a social distance, keeping in mind of a social distance. So do not miss this sun and go out and enjoy. It's quite important to have some sunlight for our body, so it will help to have more so-called vitamin Ds that will help. So hello Margaret, hello Shannon, I hope you're enjoying, and hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying. We've been really enjoying this weather, and most of the time outside working in the garden and the woodlands. So this is. And in the meantime, in Nepal, and particularly in my village, or in Nepal, in general, the coronavirus is increasing rapidly, and within one day increased over 100 people, and that also causes lots of a lockdown and even a curfew in different places. In particular to my birthplace, despite of having this coronavirus increase, the traditional ceremonies is still carried out. So normally in these 2 days we used to have cleaning the waterways and cleaning the ponds around the village, and it's been a tradition for such a long time that every year we used to do. And I remember when I was a young kid, we always every year used to clean the waterways around the village, and cleaning the water ponds, and this has been still practicing, and I think this is a way to clean all the viruses, or the old water that contains the virus that may cause disease in the village. And that was the reason behind cleaning all the waterways in the village and the ponds. Because in 1 week, in 1 month time, after 1 month there will be a monsoon. So in Nepal, that's why I believe that our ancestors were clever enough to keep the waterways and the waters keep safe and clean, so we can use it. And waterways, particularly because of the monsoon, water will be kind of constantly raining every day and night, so the level of water will be increasing so much, and that is the reason why the waterways are needed to be cleaned before the monsoon starts, and that keeps us safe. But however, I heard that this time there's a lot of rain and floods, everywhere flooded. There's so many places affected by the flood in Nepal. So water plays a vital role in our life. Water is this thing that, in a way, religious scriptures speaks about the water a lot. And when I was studying a bachelor on religions, and where I studied all the scriptures from different religions, and I came across my conclusion that every religion talks about the beginning of the world. Normally begins from the water, starts from related to the water. Although in Christianity a little bit different, but in Buddhism and as well as in Hinduism also talks, even the ancient time, and ancient beliefs. And I believe this is also the evolution theory, also based on the water evolution. So it's quite interesting that we also rely on a water as well. Where there is a water, and there is a life. And old civilizations, almost every civilization established around the waterways, and big cities are developed around the waterways. So in terms of the water and the beginning of the world, from the Hindu scripture that I come across, was that one time there was a water, and the Lord, so-called Lord Vishnu, was lying in the middle of the water, and Brahma was just coming out from his navel, and that's how it began. And there is another theory in Hinduism says that the legend of Shiva also talks about killing the demon, and the blood from the demon transformed it into ocean, and then his flesh and bones started and transform it into the mountains and earth, like that. And Buddhism is slightly different, where however, that we do not know the beginning of the universe, but when there was an argument about it, the Buddha talked about the evolution of the universe in one of the famous discourses called the Aganya Sutta. In that sutta, in that discourse, Buddha talked about how world begin, and the story begins that at first there was after probably a big bang, there was a surface which is the kind of a thick curd surface were there, and the Upapatika, the beings, those who haven't got the rough or raw physical body, but they have a very fine body like aliens, and they were coming down from one of the realm existence, and wandering around, and they saw this smelly, just a burning curd of like a water and on the curve, And when they started to eat that, and after they have eaten, gradually their body transformed it into a little bit harder and visible began. And day by day, with that eating of it, gradually it developed into the human beings, and that's how the human beings began. And after human beings established, at first there weren't need any cultivation of the farms or any designated area for one another. So anyone, whenever they had whenever they are hungry, they simply go and pick up a few things to eat for the day. It was like that for some times, and later on some people generated the laziness, so they accumulated some fruits or the foods at home or at their place. And that's how gradually they began to separate the place and separate the farmings in that way, and gradually it developed the concept of the community and the concept of the security. And that's how gradually it generated into needed a security guard, and then security guard become a person who to keep the community, all the community, in safe hands. And that's how the kings and the political leaders began. So in a way, political leaders or the kings were generally developed on a basis that to keep or to give the protection to the communities. But later on, with that power that the leader of that community receives, gradually that generated into a hunger for the power and hunger for the expansion of their boundaries and so and which become the real problem later on. So this is how it generated all the caste system and things. So the Buddha was simply saying that these caste systems were simply developed on the basis of the work, and it shouldn't be taken as the absolute and become such a thing that one should respect and become a slave to one another. And even these days, and in terms of the the governments, and these governments again, although governments have got the opportunity to selected to be the representative of the community, but once they are selected and gone into the power, normally they forget and they take this power as that the community should serve them rather than they are serving to the community. And I think that is another reason why we always have some violations, and then always some misunderstanding, and causes a lot of trouble. That's why there is a saying that before a political leader elected to be the leader or the MP or a member of a parliament, and they normally will visit you or able to pay respect or be kind to you. But once they are selected, then again the power will shift to them, and then they become a person who needed to be served by the one who has chosen. And that's exactly the same how the power began about when the beginning of this human earth. So like that. But again, in a Buddhist perspective, this is not certain that it will be forever. It was created in a relation to so many other factors, and it will maintain continuously up to some time that when everything is come to the time that all the conditions needed, or conditions separates, and the world will just vanished. And there is a saying that there will be about 6 or 7 sun will come closer to the earth, and this is one of the possibilities that the earth will be completely burned down. And it seems like it was online on in this way going towards it, simply because the humans are using a lot of natural resources, and which was the reason why the green this gas that covers or that protects the earth been destroyed, and so many researchers now we can read and find that within this lockdown of about 2 months or 3 months time, in the world has healed the earth, and this the so-called green protection has been increased in the world, and the whole world whole world is healing process, as the human beings are stopped at one place. So and then there are so many other species of the trees and environment are getting more time to sprout and blossoming in this time. So that is, again, we can see in relation to the destructions of the earth, that one of the reasons why the destructions of the earth is that about 6 or 7 suns are coming together closer to the earth, and then the earth will be burned down and will not be the inhabitable for the human beings. So like that. And this is also beginning from the water. And in particularly, I like the story from the Thai legend, Thailand, the legend that about the Songkran festival, or the New Year, Thai New Year festival, and that's also known as the water festival. And this water again is splashed towards one another as a form of blessings, and these blessings are taken as quite respectfully. So blessings from the monks and blessings from the senior people, like that, and then it's a nice celebration. And when you look at the water, the quality of the water, I normally reflect it, that the quality of the water is very soft, and you can mix with any other things, and then you can boil it, or you can keep it cool, an ability to adapt in any other vessels, or if you put the whatever shape of that vase is, the water will just transform it in it itself, and then but it maintains its own pristine purity, the water, and it won't say that I don't want to be in that vase or in this vase, but whichever situation the water is, it simply adapts and adjusts in that environment. But it contains its purity, but yet very soft and gentle, and even you cannot catch, but you can feel it. So this is the quality of the water, and this sort of a quality that we can develop in us through the practice of a meditation that I normally reflect. The more we practice meditation, our mind become so soft and so gentle, and yet very powerful, like the water. We become a more kindness, more compassionate towards one another, and develops more compassion and kindness to one another, and with that an ability to accept and then adapt, or even adopting any conditions, any environments or any societies without causing any trouble to one another. And that is simply because your mind has been completely purified, your mind has been completely stabilized, and your mind is completely pure. And then there's nothing that can sway your thoughts, that nothing can make your thoughts polluted. And with that pureness, we maintain this pristine purity and become a calmer and nicer. And this is what we have to develop. That's why in the practice of meditation, if you want to judge yourself that whether you are developing your practice or not, you can check by your kindness and compassionate heart, or the thoughts that you have, and how much you have developed that compassionate thoughts and kind thoughts. If you have developed more and more, then that means that confirms your meditation is growing, meditation is developing. And whereas if you, it doesn't matter how much you read books on Buddhism or how much you practice meditation, but you still have same anger, jealousy, ill will, and unable to accept others, and then there is more trouble and thinking of ill will towards someone or to others, or and unable to work together, adjust in a different situation, and unable to adapt into the societies or into the community. These are again the symptoms suggests that the meditation is not working in your minds and heart. So you have to generate that into yourself, and then that generating the kindness and loving kindness and compassion, that we can start off from ourselves and then to others. And that simply starts off so-called as the sila, practicing the sila. When we practice the sila, basically the first thing that we develop is the kindness. And this kindness again is not just the kindness to others, but also be kind towards yourself too. And we won't harm ourselves, and we will be more careful of what we do, what we think, and that way, and then extending that kindness towards other people. And then some quite often particularly the good meditators, or not so-called good meditator, or practicing meditation, sometimes unable to adjust with different people, or unable to join with different communities. And that's simply because they have the mindset that I am a Buddhist, I practice meditation. They are not practicing it, and then they do not practice, so it's not good to associate with them, and so and so. So in this way, we generate more problems. So that's why the practice of a meditation simply helps us to understand the situation, and ability to adjust, and then ability to be in every situation without having any troubles. Because your mind is so soft, you're yet but very strong. Anywhere, any place you can adjust in every environment without any troubles. So that is the reason. And then in this case, I just remember a simile, and that simile is given by the Buddha, that once our mind is fully purified, our mind is like a drop of water that is on the on the lotus leaf. That lotus leaf, so the water doesn't touch the lotus leaf, but maintain its pristine purity. And then once you have fully purified, and despite of purification, our life is uncertain. We do not know when the water will drop from the leaf. So that's our life as well. We do not know when and how we are going to die, or what age and which condition we are going to live. So however, this is quite important to know, that if we can transform ourselves from the stubbornness in our hearts, or the egoistic view of ourselves, changing that ego, and bringing this common understanding of one another, that we are all human beings, and spending ability to spread or practice the loving kindness to one another. And then that simply suggests the simile of the water. So our mind is simply transforming into the softness and the clearness like the water. But if we are not practicing, or not trained into the meditation, what happens is, like, we put a bag of tea in that glass of water, and we forgot to take it out. So when we forgot to take the tea bag out from the water, the tea or the water become darker and darker. So the more the more the water becomes darker, then you cannot drink it, because of this very strong tea. And then that's same with our mind and heart too. The more we keep our mind indulge or engage into the unwholesome activities, the mind becomes darker and darker, and that will not be beneficial for us, and not only to us, but also it's not beneficial for the community. So that's why the practice of a meditation is simply transforming ourselves into the nature of the water, the purity and the strongness and the soft and unable to catch, an ability to adapt in every situation without causing any troubles. And that's the same with us. Whichever situation we are in, we simply learn and adjust in those situations, those environment, and the ability to function properly without any troubles to us as well. Okay, so I offer this as tonight's reflection, and in a few minutes time we will have a chanting and a guided meditation. So I would like to invite you to join with us in a few minutes for the chanting and guided meditation. So until then, may you be happy, peaceful, successful. May the Buddha bless you, and take care. And if you are not continuing, good night. And if you are continuing for the chanting and meditation, see you shortly. And thank you everyone for listening and joining with me tonight. So thank you.